I just released a new report called Your Nakshatras, and now I'll walk you through what that report does and how you can do it yourself. No matter what it is that we're doing, prioritizing it effectively is the key to being successful at it. Because we don't want to waste time on things that don't make that much difference, and we do want to make sure we have enough time and energy for the things that really do matter. So, if there's a particular nakshatra in your chart that's very important, you should really know about it so you can focus on that nakshatra. Now I'll show you how my report figures out the relative priorities of the various nakshatras that are active in your birth chart. So the first simplest step is simply to remove the unoccupied nakshatras. This doesn't mean that these nakshatras aren't interesting to you or aren't inspiring for you. It just means that these aren't the main focuses, the things that you should really focus on to understand yourself. So for example, I resonate a lot with Anuradha, but that's because my moon is in Rohini, which is opposite to Anuradha. Or also, I find Revati a very interesting resonant nakshatra, but that's because I have a very important planet in Chitra, which is opposite Revati, and it's also because I have two planets in Pusha, which is thematically very similar to Revati. So the things that I resonate with about Revati and Anuradha are really because of what I have in Rohini and Chitra and Pusha. So what's really effective for me for self-discovery is not to focus on Revati and Anuradha, but to focus on Rohini, Chitra, and Pusha. Now, among the occupied nakshatras, we want to prioritize them. And the simplest way to do that is to just tally the occupants. So for example, I have one planet in Kritika, one planet in Rohini, two planets in Pusha, two planets in Magha, one planet in Purva Palguni, one planet in Chitra, one thing, the Ascendant, in Uttarashad, and one planet in Satabhishak. So this would suggest that Magha and Pusha are more important than the other nakshatras for me. That's starting to maybe be accurate, but we can get a lot more accurate if we go a few steps further. 3 points are particularly important for nakshatra: the moon, the ascendant, and the sun. The sun's nakshatra is twice as important as the other planets' nakshatras, and the ascendant is twice as important as the sun's, and the moon's is twice as important as the ascendant's. So if an ordinary planet's nakshatra is worth 1 importance point, then the sun's is worth 2, and the ascendant's is worth 4, and the moon's is worth 8. So let me walk you through this on my chart. So just find out, where's the sun? Well, it's in Pusha. So Pusha is going to get 2 points for the fact that it has the sun in it, and plus 1 point for the fact that it has Mars. Then look for the ascendant. The ascendant is in Uttarashada. So instead of Uttarashada just having 1 tally point, we're going to give it 4 because the ascendant is 4 times more important than an ordinary point. And then finally, look for the moon's nakshatra. It's Rohini. So instead of Rohini just having 1 tally point, give it 8 because the moon's nakshatra is 8 times more important than a regular nakshatra. So now this list suggests that Rohini, Uttarashada, and Pusha are the most important nakshatra for me. And now this is really starting to clarify who I am. This is really starting to get useful, and we can make it even more accurate. The nakshatras of influential planets are more influential. To utilize that idea, you'll need to quantify how influential the planets are, which you can do if you have a table of aspects and conjunctions. If you've ordered my birth chart overview before, then you already have this table. It's in the endnotes of that report. And this is what it looks like. So I'll show you how to use this table or something similar to it that you can get from some other source or calculate yourself to find out how influential Jupiter is in this chart. And you can use this technique for your chart and not just for Jupiter, but for any planet. So here we see Jupiter's influence on the moon is 82%. Its influence on the ascendant is 70%. and its influence on the sun is 20%. So we take this information and we make a note of it, and then we multiply that by the amount of importance of that key point. So remember, we said the sun is twice as important as an ordinary planet, and the ascendant is twice the sun, and the moon is twice the ascendant. So we have 2, 4, and 8 as the multipliers. So then you just take 82% of 8, 70% of 4, 20% of 2, and then you sum them up and you get 9.76. 9.76 is the amount of influence that Chitra has in this chart, by virtue of the fact that Jupiter, which occupies Chitra, isn't just an ordinary planet. In this chart, it's very influential, especially on the key points that are important for nakshatras, the moon, the ascendant, and the sun. So we take that number, 9.76, and we add it to the pre-existing tally, and now we see Chitra coming up to 10.76 points of importance. And of course, you need to do that for all the other planets. When you get to maybe the ascendant or the nodes, you might say, what do I do here? These planets don't give aspects. In the case of the ascendant and the nodes, since they don't give aspects, you figure the importance of their nakshatra based on how many aspects they get. So I'll walk you through how to do that for Rahu in this example chart. What you do is you just tally up all the aspects to Rahu. So in this case, you get 491. And since these are percentages, you just divide that by 100. Then you divide it by 7, since there's 7 planets contributing to this total. And the reason why you want to do that is so that it's on the same scale as the other kind of calculations that we just did with Jupiter, giving aspects. Then you just take that quotient and you give it to Rahu's nakshatra as the additional influence that it has. So in this case, 4.91 divided by 7 is 0.7, and that's what we would add to Satyabhishak's score in this particular chart. When you do this correctly for all the planets and the ascendant and the nodes, in this example chart, you would wind up with this list of the order of importance of nakshatras, which is what my report gives you on the second page. And once you have this information, you can do amazing things with it interpretively. And that's exactly what I go ahead and do on page 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. of this new nakshatra report, which you can order from my site. And there is a link in the description. In the next video, I'll do another one on this topic. I'll show you how my report uses these scores and groups them into nakshatra types and metatypes, and then gives interpretations for all of them.